Boy, did I call this one wrong. Back in the heady days of August, when I was still young and optimistic, and the first couple of episodes of Alien Earth had released, I gave it a kind of reluctant thumbs up with my review. Yeah, there were definitely problems with it. The plot relied on a metric ton of conveniences and contrivances, and a lot of the characters showed about as much real-world intelligence and common sense as your average liberal arts graduate, but there was at least some kind of potential there. I was interested to see where it was all going and what it might do with the intriguing concepts it was playing with. But now that I'm almost at the end of the season and past the mandatory 30 seconds of no swearing in this video, I can confidently say, absolutely fucking nothing. This show might well be the biggest, most soulless, utterly pointless and retarded piece of shit in the entire Alien franchise. And trust me, that's up against some pretty stiff competition these days. Every new episode was like a descent even deeper into the crushing depths of madness and despair. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like it. Every time you think the show's reached rock bottom and can't possibly get any worse, it finds a new way to Rian Johnson the living shit out of your expectations. At points, I honestly began to wonder if I'd totally misunderstood the reason behind this show, like maybe it was supposed to be a goofy parody of the Alien movies, or some bizarre social experiment where Disney were testing the very limits of human endurance. That's right, Alien Earth is so bad that it triggered a fucking existential crisis in my thinking meat. Now, in the interest of public safety and stopping this video from spiraling into a 10-hour Mauler-sized rant, I'm gonna try and keep my plot summary as brief as possible, because Jesus, I feel like I'm skimming the event horizon of a black hole here, and if I get too close I'll be sucked in and crushed into atomized nothingness, or transported into a hellish alternate dimension of pure chaos and evil where you don't need eyes to see. Actually, come to think of it, I'd probably rather spend a weekend aboard the event horizon than watch another minute of this retarded garbage.
We're leaving.
Anyway, I've put it off long enough, let's get this over with. The show follows Wendy and her bunch of mentally deficient friends who were once terminally ill children that have now been downloaded into android bodies by Boy Cavalier, the owner of a megacorporation called Prodigy. Because he's a child prodigy. Do you get it? Do you get what the script is trying to tell you yet?
He's fucking crazy!
And he's a perfect example of what I like to call the retarded genius, one of the most unintentionally hilarious products of modern screenwriting. A character that the writers desperately want you to believe is super intelligent, but everything they show you about him is the exact opposite, because they themselves have never had anything even remotely resembling an intelligent thought in their entire lives. Anyway, when a deep space research ship carrying alien specimens crash lands on Earth, and don't worry, we'll get into that one shortly, Wendy and her mentally deficient friends are dispatched on a search and rescue mission, even though they've got absolutely no training, no preparation, and there's a high chance they could all get destroyed and lose Prodigy billions of dollars. Why? Don't know, because the script needs the rest of the plot to happen, I guess.
Did IQs just drop sharply while I was away?
Yes, Ripley, they really did. And wouldn't you know it, Wendy's brother also happens to be on the same mission because the ship almost crashed into the building that he was on, and I think he's got a name of some sort, but since the actor makes Will Wheaton look like the fucking Giga Chad, I'm just gonna call him Pussy Boy from now on.
Good idea.
So Wendy rescues Pussy Boy from the Xenomorph, because Disney, and they bring samples of the aliens back to retarded genius on the island of Dr. Moreau so that he can experiment on them, and Wendy learns to communicate with the Xenomorph somehow because that's a thing you can definitely do. Bullshit! But oh no, one of the crew from the ship threatens one of Wendy's mentally deficient friends into infecting an innocent scientist with a facehugger so that they can smuggle him off and get a sample of the Xenomorph, but then it explodes out of him before they can get him to the pickup point, but for some reason they drag his dead body along there anyway. Like, what fucking use is that supposed to be? Ah, who cares? Meanwhile, Wendy turns against retarded genius for the crime of erasing part of her friend's memory to stop her from going insane. Yeah, sure, okay. Also, there's no diplomatic way of saying this, and even if there was, I probably wouldn't do it because I'm a total dick. But let's be honest, her friend is without doubt one of the most aesthetically upsetting individuals I've seen outside of Bella Ramsey. She looks like Sydney Sweeney got stung in the face by a swarm of bees and went into anaphylactic shock. I mean, Jesus, this is prestige TV we're talking about right here. Are you really telling me this is the best you could find? mind? Nah, fuck it. Then Wendy releases the Xenomorph, which has become like a pet dog now, so that it can kill everyone in the facility and protect them while she escapes the island with Pussy Boy and Ugly Bitch. Oh god, make it stop! But then Ugly Bitch loses her mind and starts murdering the assault team that was sent to intercept them, and Pussy Boy disables her to stop her from killing more of his friends, and then Wendy starts screaming at him like it was all his fault. You know, making a show like this involves many creative decisions. And honestly, you'd think from the law of averages alone that the creative team behind Alien Earth would have gotten at least some of them right. Apparently not though, which is why I had to keep checking that this wasn't some cunning satire of terrible Alien sequels. I mean, it's so fucking bad, it actually defies all logic that this even got made. Every single character in this show makes the dumbest possible decisions in every situation, from leaving dangerous alien specimens with unknown capabilities alone and unguarded in poorly secured facilities, to allowing unpredictable and highly experimental androids with questionable loyalties to freely roam the island with no way of remotely disabling them and no failsafe measures in place to stop them, to blindly venturing into dangerous environments with no weapons, training or backup. I mean, I could go on and on for hours about how frustrating it is watching complete idiots with every advantage imaginable somehow losing control of the situation because they refuse to make rational judgments. The flashback episode to the doomed spaceship is probably the worst example of this. It's like a rehash of the first Alien movie, except if the crew of the Nostromo actually knew what the alien was ahead of time, had a bunch of weapons and equipment specifically designed to subdue it, but somehow lost anyway because they were complete and total morons. It's so laughably bad, I actually found myself rooting for the Xenomorph after a while. And the most vomit-inducingly funny thing about the whole situation is that the showrunners wanted to invite comparisons to Ridley Scott's original, because the ship is basically a carbon copy of the Nostromo, from the interiors to the computers to the uniforms and even the characters. Even the cinematography's trying to mimic his tense, atmospheric look and feel, and if I had to say one solitary good thing about this show, the production designers at least deserve some kind of award for their work because it looks good if nothing else. The problem, as always, is the writing. Whereas the crew of the Nostromo were smart, logical adults doing their best under exceptional circumstances, these guys are like a hyperactive child's idea of adult behaviour. They spurg out at the most inappropriate moments, constantly babbling verbal diarrhea instead of allowing any scene to breathe, fail to anticipate obvious threats and catastrophic security failures, take absolutely no precautions when working with highly dangerous alien organisms, and generally talk and act like Marvel characters transported into the Alien universe. What, are you retarded? And that's not even talking about some of the directing choices in this show. Like, the Xenomorph is one of the most genuinely terrifying movie monsters of all time. Not only does it look completely alien and dangerous, but its speed and cunning, its malign intelligence, and its single-minded dedication to killing and reproducing all make for a truly iconic monster. Here though, it's been reduced to the status of a fucking guard dog protecting Wendy and Pussy Boy. Why? Because I guess she's been able to reason with it or something.
Look how they massacred my boy.
Jesus Christ, why would you do this to a poor Xenomorph? It's not an organism that you can negotiate with. It's not capable of forming loyalties to creatures that it's got no understanding of or interest in. It sees everything around it as one of two things: a threat that has to be killed or an organism it can use to reproduce with. That's it. Here, it's gone from terrifying to completely laughable, and it's not helped by the decision to shoot it out in broad daylight in the open. I mean, there's a very obvious reason why we only ever got brief glimpses of the Xenomorph back in the day, usually in darkness. It's because if you show it out in the open under bright sunlight, the audience is going to see it for what it actually is: a guy in a clumsy looking rubber suit. You know, back when I reviewed episode 1, I talked about the interesting possibilities of downloading human consciousness into android bodies, the moral and spiritual implications for humanity, the world-changing potential of such technology. But none of that ever gets addressed in this show. It's like someone took the premise of a way more interesting and thoughtful sci-fi show, crowbarred it into a dumb as fuck Aliens ripoff, and then called it a day. We once joked on Open Bar that the show would end with some absolutely cliched, shameless message that the Xenomorph isn't really evil, it's just another victim, and the real monster here is human capitalistic greed. And I shit you not, the final episode of this malformed fetus of a show is literally called The Real Monsters. That's it, I'm out. I'm fucking done. This show isn't just an insult to the franchise, it's not just an affront to the legacy of the 1979 original, it is a crime against common sense and human decency. It's a show that actively makes me hate modern TV, that represents the very worst of corporate franchise strip mining. Soulless, brainless, pointless, and ultimately a complete waste of everyone's time. Do yourself a favour and avoid it like LV-426. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.